Hi everyone, let's look at the wonderfully exotic harmonic minor scale. It came about as a necessity to accommodate a perfect cadence in a minor key, or a minor 5-1 chord progression. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I did some videos all about this, but just in case, let's go over it briefly anyway, and then we'll get to playing. Here is an A natural minor scale. It has all the same notes as the C major scale, but starting from the note of A. We call these two keys relative major and minor keys. When we harmonize this scale, we get these chords. The strongest resolving chord progression in a major key is the 5 chord to the 1 chord. However, in a minor key, the resolve isn't so strong. Musicians learn to rectify this by changing the minor chord to a major triad, or a dominant 7 chord. Now we have a chord that resolves perfectly to the 1 chord. This is known as a perfect cadence, or a minor 5-1 progression. The problem is, our new chord contains a G sharp instead of a G. To accommodate this, we have to change our scale by 1 note. This takes us from A natural minor to A harmonic minor. Have a listen to the difference between the natural minor and harmonic minor scales. Here's A natural minor. Here's harmonic minor. Have a listen to what it sounds like if I play over a chord progression in the key of A minor using a natural minor scale. But when the chord progression changes to an E7 chord, I'm going to change my scale to harmonic minor. Here we go. So this is the chord progression first of all in A minor. Natural minor. Harmonic minor. I should point out for the sake of completeness that if we're playing A harmonic minor over an E7 chord, technically E is our root, and therefore we are playing the 5th mode of A harmonic minor, which is called E Phrygian dominant, or sometimes Spanish Phrygian. This is the most common use for our new scale, but there are other uses. So to find out the chords we can play over using harmonic minor, we need to harmonize the scale, and we end up with these chords. The triads we get when we harmonize A harmonic minor are A minor, B diminished, C augmented, D minor, E, F, and G sharp diminished. If we further harmonize, we get A minor major 7, B minor 7 flat 5, C major 7 sharp 5, D minor 7, E7, F major 7, and G sharp diminished 7. These chords determine which modes of harmonic minor we can use. The modes are as follows. The first mode is harmonic minor, and it works over those minor major 7 chords. Locrian natural 6 is our next mode, which works over minor 7 flat 5 chords, followed by Ionian sharp 5 that works over major 7 sharp 5 chords and augmented triads, then Dorian sharp 4 that works over minor 7 chords, Phrygian dominant, sometimes called Spanish Phrygian, that works over dominant 7 chords, Lydian sharp 2 that works over major 7 chords, and then finally mode 7 that works over diminished 7 chords. You might think that last name's a bit of a cop-out. Why is it called mode 7 and not something more exotic? And the reason is that all the names tell you how the mode is constructed. So for example, Ionian sharp 5 is basically an Ionian scale, which we talked about in a previous video, but with a sharpened 5th. So they're kind of instructions as to how to play these scales. You simply adapt a scale you already know. Mode 7, however, is so far removed from anything else, it's almost impossible to give it a useful name, so we just call it mode 7. The good news is you don't have to focus too much effort on all of these modes. The most useful ones are Locrian natural 6, which we would use over minor 7 flat 5 chords, usually over the 2 chord in a minor 2-5-1 progression. We also use Phrygian dominant over a dominant 7 chord, usually over the 5 chord in a minor 2-5-1 progression. There's a useful shortcut here. If we're in a minor key, Locrian natural 6 over the 2 chord and Phrygian dominant over the 5 chord are exactly the same notes. So in a minor 2-5-1 progression, once you've found the notes for one chord, you don't have to think too much for the other chords, you just play the same thing. So if I play a 2-5-1, a minor 2-5-1, it looks like this. B minor 7 flat 5, E7 or E7 flat 9, and then A minor. I could do this, B minor 7 flat 5, E7 flat 9, A minor 7. Notice how resolved that sounds. So here I would play Locrian natural 6 over this, and then Phrygian dominant here, but they're exactly the same notes. It's basically A harmonic minor notes, and then finally back to A minor. Okay, this is what it would sound like in a chord progression. We can learn the harmonic minor scale across the whole neck in any key using several different methods, but one of the ways I've found most useful is to take the natural minor scale, which we talked about in a previous video. Make sure you know that first, and then make small moderations to it to turn it into harmonic minor, like this. Okay, let's learn those patterns. So first of all, let's recap. This is the A natural minor scale, the first pattern that we did in the previous video that fits over an E minor shaped chord. Now I've written this up on the screen here, and what I'll do is I'll now write the harmonic minor scale, and I'll write in pink the one note we've changed. We've just pulled it up a bit. We've made it a major 7 instead of a minor 7. So we get this. Now I should point out there's different ways of playing this. For example, that big stretchy pink note I've written there. You could play it on the 4th fret of the top E string. Okay, it's up to you. I prefer having 3 notes per string, so that's why I do the stretch. Okay, the second pattern we learnt, which fits over a D minor shaped chord normally, is this. This is A natural minor. And again in pink, I shall move one note up a little bit, and we have harmonic minor. The next pattern works over a kind of C minor shape, which would be this kind of awkward chord here, or a triad. Okay, you don't have to play this chord, but knowing it's there is useful to help you find a natural minor scale associated with that part of the neck. Okay, it looks like this. And this is the harmonic minor scale. Again, one note only has changed, albeit in 2 places, different octaves. The next pattern works really nicely over an A minor shaped bar chord. Okay, so if you see this, you know you can play natural minor like this. Adapting it to harmonic minor, you get this. The next pattern works over a G minor shaped bar chord. Now, I'm running out of guitar, so I could play this up here, like this, but I'm going to play it here instead. So I've got 5, 3, 2, 2. Horrible chord, but it's a useful landmark to help me find a natural minor scale that looks like this. Adapting it by one note, and I've got harmonic minor like this. Now the reason I didn't sort of draw on the diagrams chord landmarks for A harmonic minor is because we don't actually use harmonic minor as much as we do its modes. So Locrian natural 6 and Phrygian dominant are the most common uses for that mode. So this is what I want you to be aware of. If ever you see this, a dominant chord, dominant 7 chord, or even just a triad, major triad, going up a 4th, like this, to a minor chord, that's a minor 5-1. And when you see that, say if I'm resolving on D minor, what you would do is on this chord, instead of playing a D minor scale, you'd play D harmonic minor, or better still, you'd play its 5th mode, A Phrygian dominant. So you'd get this sound. Let's see what it sounds like. Okay, here comes Phrygian dominant, and a natural minor. Now I feel because this is such a difficult thing to get our heads around, there's so much to learn here, I feel I need to give you a shortcut, and here's a great way of doing this. Let's say you're in a minor key and you hear this kind of Phrygian dominant sound. It's kind of like a classical sound. So for example, I'm in A minor. I suddenly hear that, E7 to A minor. As soon as you hear that, you can simply cheat and you can adapt a pentatonic scale to accommodate that chord. So here's pattern 1, pentatonic. And what I can do is play this note instead of this one. So I get, and instead of this note, I can play this one. Let's see what it sounds like. So here's the key of A minor. E7. So I'm playing pentatonic. So another shortcut we can use is learning to recognize where we see these dominant 7 chords within our scale patterns. So for example, in our first harmonic minor pattern, I'm not that likely to use that in the A harmonic minor mode. I'm more likely to play it over an E7 chord. And if you look carefully, you can actually see this E7 chord, well this one actually, hiding in there. So there's an E7 or just a simple E triad. Okay, and knowing that's there is really useful. I can actually even play that triad in my solo. If we look at the second pattern, which was this, actually see this E7 hiding in there. If you look at the third pattern, which was this, you've got an E7 chord here. Well, let's do an E triad, E major triad there. It's a useful landmark to finding that pattern. We can take the next pattern, which looks like this, and you can see this E chord hiding in there, or even the E7 hiding in there. And again, it's a useful landmark. So whenever I see this, and I know I'm going up a fourth to this, I know I've got a minor 5-1 progression, so I'll often play that scale before going to the A minor. Our final pattern was this. If you look carefully in there, you can see very well hidden is a little E triad like this or like this. You can actually see an E7 triad, it's a bit harder to spot, so we're better off just taking this one. And whenever I see this little triad, I know I can play my E Phrygian dominant scale. Thanks for watching. I hope that was useful to you. If so, please click like and subscribe. Thank you.